historically, our bot lane, I think, have lost to CLG's bot lane like quite a bit.
You don't want to play the same thing that your opponents expect you to. They would know that most of their opponents would expect them to camp bot lane. So you show up down there, turns out they switch things around and they're going to camp top or mid lane, then you're going to be in trouble.
I think the key to over pressuring that is just from advantage mid lane and spilling over to like a dive bot lane so that, you know, they're too scared to play.
The North American LCS Summer Playoffs taking place at PAX Prime. We're jumping back into the action with Game 2 between Dignitas and Counter Logic Gaming. Now, CLG looked very decisive and will be feeling good after taking the first match. But the question is, how do they keep that momentum rolling? Pobelter?
Well, CLG, their bot lane just pretty much crushed Dignitas' bot lane. Doublelift on Lucian was able to get the blue buff level 1, and they already have the lane counter. Lucian Braum versus Nami Kog'Maw. Nami Kog'Maw is a very passive lane. Braum serves as a direct counter to Nami, so with the blue buff, they were just able to roll over the lane. Aphromoo, as a really passive farm-style jungler, can't help sort of aid Dignitas' bot lane in that circumstance, and so that was sort of what led to the insurmountable deficit that Dignitas had in the bot lane.
All right, Zaqueri, what about on Dignitas' side? What do they need to do to avoid a repeat performance there?
I think a big thing is their champion select. They need to go back to that and look at what CLG are picking mid-champion select and what the composition looks like, because they picked really good skirmish champions for 2-on-2s and 3-on-3s. Like if there's a 3-on-3 bot lane, typically it would go in favor of CLG regardless of which 3 members showed up there, because just across the board, you could have made really any 3-man composition. It would have been great. So I think they need to focus on that. And KiWiKiD and Cutie-Pie, they need to step up their games in this, because we heard it there. We heard Shiphtur talking about how their bot lane loses every time, and they're looking for actually a mid lane advantage instead. But I don't know if that's going to work against Counter Logic Gaming. I think you have to focus that bot lane and at least apply some jungle pressure so Dexter isn't down there all the time.
Well, we have praised Doublelift and Aphromoo as being one of the best bot lanes in North America. So it is a pretty tall order there to ask KiWiKiD and Cutie-Pie to stack up against them toe-to-toe. Should we be looking for Crumbzz to make more visits bot lane?
I think so. I think so. But the thing is he just talked about how they might camp middle, how they'll look at that lane and try to spill it over into bot lane and kind of create that dynamic where they have a 4-man camp bot lane after they set up the mid lane. Don't know if that's going to work out for them, though. I do think that you have to apply some type of pressure bottom very early on to make sure this snowball doesn't happen again.
All right. Pobelter, anything to add there with the side of Dignitas coming off of a loss? What are the kind of things that you as a team are talking about to regroup? Are you changing a lot of picks, or are you kind of sticking to your guns?
I think that it's absolutely vital that Dignitas pick something aggressive in the jungler. Like, if they just pick Aphromoo again, I think they'll lose for certain. Crumbzz needs to be on Elise, Lee Sin, or Nunu, or Kha'Zix.
Well, hopefully we'll see them make some of those changes, because I, for one, would love to see an exciting long series. I want to see it go back and forth a bit. Now let's send it right over to the caster desk where Riv and Kobe are set to take us into the next game.
Thank you very much, Dash, and we are just about to get into Champion Select coming into our next game. Like Dash said, I love the fact that it's a best-of-5. It's not like CLG wins one more game and we're done here. There's a chance to go back and forth, and that's the best part. And Dig, yeah, they should be feeling a little down. They lost the game, but it's absolutely not over in any means.
They've got plenty of room to work with here.
Yeah.
And one of the things that they really need to stop this time around is getting 3-buffed right when you start.
Oh, God.
CLG went with a very, very risky play. It's just sort of a gambit that they decided to go with and send 3 people, not even the jungler, to go invade the blue here for Aphromoo. And they came away with the steal. People are talking about this bottom lane matchup, and Doublelift and Aphromoo are crushing. You know, they're running Lucian Braum. They started with blue buff as well on Doublelift.
They did.
So that would be step number 1 for Dignitas, because the very beginning of that game is not the way that you want to start it out, especially if you are Aphromoo. I think what Crumbzz was trying to do by starting red is avoid the red-to-red gank that he figured a Kha'Zix would do, because Kha'Zix, very strong duelist, will sometimes try and kill Aphromoo at his second buff. So Crumbzz got a little maybe ahead of himself and tried to start red, and then they invaded blue side and just took that away.
It reminded me a little bit of when we saw Aphromoo steal it from Dominate with just a swing. CLG comes away with the blue buff.
They have they have a lot of success with those level 1 blue buffs. You could say that again, Riz.
Keep them away from that area. This game, we're going to have to, as the guys on the analyst desk were saying as well, vision for Dignitas here. Obviously, CLG comes up with game 1 with the blue side strats.
All right, so once again, a couple of similar bans here. Same exact bans, actually.
Yeah.
Dignitas
Boom,
first
boom, boom.
2 starting out.
Where's that
CLG this time around are the ones who have to ban away Nidalee. So these are the three really hyped up top laners right now, Riv. The two tanks, Maokai and Alistar, and then the lane bully split pusher, Nidalee. Let's see, a little bit more mid focus here.
Ooh, Zion Spartan looking at the Riven. It's been quite a while, loves to throw himself into fights, and this was something he would be able to do it on. Zion Spartan back onto some carry champions.
All right, yeah, Riven is definitely a carry champion. This would be a completely different face from Dignitas that we've seen recently. Zion definitely loves to play that carry role from the top lane, but Riven is a very snowbally champion, I guess, or momentum-based champion. However you want to say it, she needs some early attention from your jungler, from somebody to get going. And then once she gets her lead, she can become a very powerful force to use.
I like the mind games they have going on there. They show Riven, but also show Vlad on the other side. Syndra pickup for Shiphtur. That's usually last, but that's always going to be on that purple side. This time they want that priority of the lane bully, keeping him safe.
Yeah, this will be very interesting to see if Shiphtur does sort of grow into this Syndra mentality of having more pressure on the mid lane and bullying, getting extra vision for your team around that mid lane by having control of it. Last game, he did a great job playing reactively when he was dove by Seraph. He definitely cleaned that up very well, turned it into a kill for himself. So let's see. His mechanics are definitely on point, but let's see how aggressive he decides to go.
There it is, Kobe. They do take it away from Crumbzz. I was wondering when that pick was going to come in. The Maokai is on the board, so Nunu is left up this time. Something that Crumbzz and KiWiKiD love to get their wards in with, but it's going to be a Rise as well. That could easily be Link's, since we've seen Voidboy taking that up against Syndra.
Yeah, and Link himself using that in their quarterfinals there.
Yes.
So yeah, it could either be a top lane or mid lane. Early flex pick here from CLG. The Nunu, very, very big objective control for Dexter.
Good pick there.
However, last time, I believe he maxed his Snowball instead of Consume, which definitely takes away a lot of the objective control that he's really picked for. We'll definitely keep track of his build this time around and see what option he decides to go with. One of the biggest parts of Nunu, of course, is the early Sightstone and Vision Control that you can get.
All right. What does this leave up for Dig? Crumbzz pretty much picking himself right here. No reason not to. They could also go for an AD, but they'd be showing. They already see the jungler, and he says Kha'Zix would be the one. Very picked up on the Tristana. Actually, haven't seen any bans there, but coming out quite strong here in second game for Dignitas. Definitely different to considering who you're playing against. Curse would get that banned every game.
Yeah, Dignitas this time again going with a strong late game AD carry here. We'll see if Doublelift is once again able to punish Imaqtpie early. There are a lot of things you can run into Tristana now early to punish her because of the reduction in damage on explosive shot active. Was a huge, huge takeaway from her early laning phase. Not to mention the reduction on slow duration for her rocket jump takes away a lot of her potential for kill lanes. So Doublelift and Aphromoo won't have to be very worried here.
Very interesting pickups here that could still fly into the flex zone. Heard a lot of people saying that on social media that Zilean pickup wasn't Aphromoo. He's an engager. He's a fighter with the team. He's a maker of progression, advantages. I want to keep going. No, I'm just kidding.
He's definitely going to be play a big part in stopping Kha'Zix resets here. And I always love Zilean picks against Syndra because it's so easy to Zilean ult whoever's targeted by a Syndra ult. There's a long tail there with the Syndra windup on her ultimate. And Kha'Zix, who's going to be committing to that low health target, it opens up a lot of opportunity for CLG to sort of bait that jump in. And if you're able to revive that target, then we'll be able to jump back out and you won't get another Syndra ult. So I like that pickup from CLG in the second round.
Absolutely. The Thresh pickup here from KiWiKiD. He's going to feel comfortable on one of the more roamy supports that he likes to get his feet moving on. Imaqtpie picks up Mundo for Zion Spartan, the top lane. And whoa, Link says aggression here. Trying to put himself back on the assassin instead of the safety poke. Let's see how he does.
First thing you gotta say there for Link with the very confident last pick Yasuo is that he has nobody to knock up for him. So he will have to do his own dirty work this time around. As well for Dignitas, the Mundo picked up here after the early Tristana round, so maybe the Tristana pick was a guarantee that Mundo would not be early countered by Tristana and a lane swap. But Dignitas rounding out their composition here with a late game scaling tank to go up against CLG and their late game scaling Rise.
Yep. So I'm still considering that Dignitas kind of tried to throw something in the mix, right? They tried the Aphromoo first, didn't work. They got heavily countered, so I don't feel like we've really seen Dig's kind of game that they were going to bring to the table. They were absolutely thwarted out by CLG the first time. They said, you're going to give us that big of an advantage to deny Aphromoo? Let's do it. So CLG is going to be on the run here to keep those advantages, I think, in the early game for themselves.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see Dexter's Nunu play and how he goes about the early game control, because Nunu's a jungler that will get the earliest sight stone that any jungler will get, and you should always have 3 wards down in the enemy jungle when playing that champion, if it's going according to plan.
All right, before the champs start littering the rift, we want to remind you to keep voting on Twitter. Send the hashtag DIGWin or CLGWin to @LOL Esports, and we'll continue to update the poll throughout the game. And it's going to be a good one. Best of 5 series here between CLG and Dignitas. Game 1 for CLG off the blue side. We've switched sides of the rift here. Now it's Dig versus CLG. Let's see how this one works out. Fans are ready and raring. They got here quite early today, and I'm sure the parties at home for viewing have set up as well. Kudos to everybody participating here in the summer playoffs. And these guys right here, they want to get the victory out of this. That 5th place and non-relegation position.
Yes, everyone would like to win this best of 5 so that they could start to relax and work on the problems that have emerged in both teams, really. They do not want to have to fight through relegations once again. Definitely want to win and enjoy themselves. We'll see what goes on here, though. Seraph taking the flex pick from CLG in Champion Select and starting out with the early mana crystal means that he will have a very offensive opening here. Much empowered Qs. They're tossed with the early invade, 4-man squad. They do not want to get 3-buffed.
Wow, that's a huge split for an early invade, but I guess with that ward in the bottom, they got a little bit of the vision they wanted. Very, very scary stuff. Good deep wards.
They will secure a lane for Zion away from Rise.
Yeah.
So the early mana crystal bullying Rise will not be abusing Zion today. Probably just go with the double jungle here. Mundo very confident in his double jungling abilities.
Yeah.
Whereas Rise, not quite so much. See how Seraph decides to play this as of right now. Hiding in lane. We've seen many people get away with a couple extra levels by hiding in that bush, but
I don't know, you're doing it against the guy who hates people hiding in a brush, so you're going to be found out immediately.
Yeah, KiWiKiD goes to sweep all of those. KiWiKiD goes to double check. He's checking KiWiKiD's work here. Yes, nobody is indeed
I don't believe you.
in that bush. We will have the lane to ourselves. So, of course, he's not going to level his explosive shot because they're trying to hold the lane as long as possible. Looks like neither lane are going to try and hard push. So the supports. Now the supports in these lane swaps, I always really prefer the support who hides in the bush the longest, because you don't want to give away any free information during these lane swaps. Seraph able to come out on top of the double golems. Big win. But yeah, so the supports, they need to remain hidden as long as possible, because they're the ones that need to start roaming very quickly. It's up to them and the top, solo laners to make sure that the early dragons are not given away. We've seen a very, very steep decrease in early dragons taken away for these lane swaps because of the effectiveness of the support roaming very early.
Look at this. Dexter just going by himself when we get the double jungle coming from the other dudes for a little bit.
Okay.
They'll be safe. Oh, hello. It's going to be very nice for Dexter. Going to be able to shut down a bit of damage. Gets the movement from Link. That's why he feels so comfortable to stay here. It'd be a real long walk around for Shiphtur to enter that fight. So good movement as well. Seraph is on the roundabout. A lot of CLG being where they shouldn't right now, and Dignitas is finding that out. CLG again trying to make early moves. Really gave them a good lead last game, and they want that again. The momentum of the best of 5 definitely needs to be held. Long games to be played.
And this time around, Zion gets to the lane before it's shoved up all the way into the turret. So he's not surrounded by a large wave of minions, and he gets a a bunch of experience back here. Very good for him. Whereas Seraph, still level 1 up there, has not been able to use his teleport either. And because of the split jungling for CLG, Seraph is definitely going to need some assistance so that he's not the one who gets dove under his turret.
Woo.
Dexter is definitely on his side of the map.
Like that boat's changing just a little bit here. CLG starts to take more and more control, helping Seraph get to where he needs to be. Dexter nicely level 4. Link takes some hits in mid.
And Seraph, because he was able to farm those double golems, he makes the all-important buy of the tier for this double jungle. So it took a little bit longer for CLG to start their double jungle, but he will have his tier stacking the whole time. So that's a very, very big bonus for them. And you can see they're even trying to give him that catch-up experience there. Gave him the big wolf to ensure level 2. Let's see, the ward does see them.
He's going to be able to clear that out in the back. Looks like he is maxing still the Ice Blast, but it looks like they could go for this.
And you can see the immediate response though, Dignitas, as soon as that ward saw them, KiWiKiD starts to head down, Crumbzz starts to head down. They do not want to give away these early dragons, even though Link is able to head there first. Crumbzz being in the area. They don't know that there's a ward in there, obviously.
That thing.
Value ward right there. Oh my god, Dignitas are baiting so well. How does CLG not realize there's a ward in there? Yeah.
They know.
What is KiWiKiD doing?
Nicely done. Maybe could have thrown a hook that missed and been like, oh, I don't know what's going on. I'm in a bad spot. Dig just comes out in a big fight. Always easier said than done. But CLG's been playing way too safe and strategic for that to happen, for them to lose too many this early.
Yeah, very smart ward from Dignitas. And Crumbzz even sneaks in here. He better have his leap. Yes, he does have 1 point in leap.
It's close. He knows he's got to go back. He's got something on the agenda now after these golems. Right, Seraph down to the bottom lane now. 4 here. CLG just kind of repeating the same thing. They're not going to have the mid lane this time. They're going to go ahead and pick up the first turret of the game. Nicely done in the bottom lane. Dragon pressure may be theirs after they're able to get a fight on. Doesn't look like anything's going to be rotated here from Dignitas, so first turret going to CLG.
So the reason that they should definitely get Dragon is that KiWiKiD is back up top lane right now. They're shoving hard. Dignitas want to try and answer turrets. So they are going to be giving away the early Dragon. Support not able to roam down there means there's no way Crumbzz is going to go for a suicide steal. CLG make their move bottom count, even though they were delayed on getting the early Dragon. Turning that into the siege of bottom turret enabled them to get both objectives in the same amount of time, so they didn't waste their commitment of all those champions down bottom. And it's a very good recovery from them.
Slow moving here in the top lane. Obviously this freeze has stopped. They're heating things up. They're going to be able to get that. Hopefully rotate down to the bottom and we'll start getting that split push in the top lane. 21-5 in that CS realm. But as we said, Seraph stacking up the tier, so he's not going to be trying to just fight anybody right away.
So far, this Nunu from Dexter, though, is impressing. Even though he still is maxing his ice balls, he invaded the early jungle. He made sure that Crumbzz he stopped Crumbzz in his middle of his early jungle route. Plus, then using the early Blood Boil and Dragon Control to pick up those two objectives. Didn't slow him down at all.
Very nicely done. No problem really here for Seraph. We've seen multiple players be this low on CS this far into the game, and Rise still becomes Rise if the team plays it right. Dignitas giving the blue buff over to Shiphtur in mid. Maybe he can start to create something. By this time last game, he already had first blood in his hands, so not as much of a power play coming from him just yet. And nobody has really been able to make that power play. CLG's push to the bottom lane was countered by KiWiKiD and KiWiKiD's safety. They still got the turret, but they traded that in the top lane just now. So both teams are really respecting what they're bringing to the table.
And look what Seraph was able to accomplish up there. Level 4 Rise, no vision. He got the wave all the way up to the turret at least. But since he had no vision, there's no way he can stay out there and push. Spartan's level 6. If he found him even trying to ward,
be bad news.
It would be a flash burned at least.
All right, here we go. Trying to shut down KiWiKiD. PewDiePie looks like he's going to be able to make it out. Nice buster shot, but remember that turret was taken down. CLG on the repeat visit No bomb is actually on KiWiKiD. Here comes from now Zion Spartan.
Oh, the juke!
Misses the cleaver. Aphromoo with the blue suede shoes on, able to stay, trying to dodge it, get through the minions. Oh, they knock him up, and he's not able to step over all of them. Aphromoo goes down for first blood as Dig teleports to bottom lane.
The Zion Spartan massive lead is definitely coming to fruition for Dignitas. Huge, huge level discrepancy there, teleporting in level 7, able to force that kill. Aphromoo had flashed forward, by the way, to try and get the kill on KiWiKiD, so that's why he had no flash to secure his escape. And Zion Spartan able to take his early advantage and turn it into some positive things for the rest of the team. He did have to teleport away from the wave pushing away from him, though.
He's already... Spectral's Cowl feels great to go up here against Seraph. 7-5, not going to have any trouble, as we were saying. Seraph's already going to back off and let that lane push so he can grab golems. Doublelift now in the bottom lane definitely wants to make up for a little bit of that kill they just got onto Aphromoo. 81-73, not the CS he had last time, so PewDiePie and KiWiKiD. Sans blue buff on Doublelift, doing pretty well. Too much aggression in the early game. However, that's still a player to be watching. As well, Link this time. That Yasuo gets pretty crazy of his towards late game, and he loves to be roaming, making self-picks. And like we said, they may have to be self-picks. He's the only one activating his ult.
And the reason here that we see Crumbzz invading Nunu is because he's working off his extremely strong top lane. He wants to work off the side of the map that Dignitas have the most power over. Zion Spartan is going to be the fulcrum of Dignitas' early power, so Crumbzz heads up to try and secure control of this red side jungle. They chase Dexter out of his own jungle, and Shiphtur has stepped up to that aggressive Syndra playstyle, bullying Link and pushing right in. So
the opportunities are everywhere because of these wards. That's what we were talking about last game. Dig was face checking, now it's CLG face checking. Not going the way they want right away, but they're still getting the upper hand on these moves, making CLG have to react instead of be the one making the plays themselves.
The thing is, though, because CLG got the dragon, the gold is still even though Dig have an extra turret. So really what Dig are going to have to use is make that extra map control of the mid turret being down really, really count for them. And as you said, the ward placement around that mid lane is going to be where they find that value. That's going to be where they want to make the plays with Crumbzz and the roaming KiWiKiD, trying to pick people off. I mean, we'll see if Shiphtur's long-range Cindersons are as accurate.
They're already working the scrying orb as well onto PewDiePie early for him, so they're not having the face check opportunities they did last game.
So the reason I really like that pickup for Dignitas, they're getting it so it's on cooldown, off cooldown, quick enough for this Nunu. Now, every time you go up against the Nunu, you have to get some sort of early vision around Baron, just to respect the early start. Even if the Nunu doesn't go consume, you have to assume that it's going to be a max consume Nunu until proven otherwise, or else they will sneak something on you. So once they do see him, you know, consume something, or ice blast you, then they will be tipped off.
Well, 30 seconds on the dragon, you can see what the focus is here. Aphromoo and Doublelift still trying to farm out this turretless lane, but they're there for dragon pressure, so not too much is going to be happening until that objective, but they are getting the wards that they need. Dexter does not have flash up, so he's going to walk himself into this one if he can get a good ulti down. Looks like Crumbzz is going to try and start gaining the vision they need. Good item thresholds on both sides. Not a spike yet from Seraph, though, in that damage from the Rod of Ages.
And there is a comeback.
There he goes. He just bought the damage.
There is a comeback experience mechanic in the game, even for lane minions. So Seraph has been able to get back in this game. Also has been able to secure some good last hits for himself. We'll see, though, if he teleports down, Zion will still be a much bigger teamfight presence this early on. Dignitas trying to force it here. They want to at least make Seraph burn his teleport to get a teleport advantage.
Absolutely.
Maybe even burn through this dragon.
Culling with an Ardent Blaze on the front side to give a little bit of passive movement speed. Doublelift doesn't get anything out of that. And they've weathered the storm.
Anytime CLG can force them off this objective and buy time for Seraph up top, they are slowly winning. This is a small advantage that CLG are squeezing out of the situation around Dragon.
They're trying to act mid.
Oh, he gets the stun!
Oh, the hook flash, it actually stays. linked onto him, and he didn't break it. Very nicely done. And it looks like he's still getting hit up, but they could call in Doublelift and Dexter here from the side. Dignitas tries to dictate middle. CLG is able to get back to defend in time. Link almost going down there. His flash is down, so they got to be careful.
Yeah, clutch wind wall there. Link is able to hold on to the turret. They don't get a lot of damage from their swing off of Dragon into mid lane. And so CLG really secured a big allotment of time for Seraph to get back in this game, and that shove up top definitely helped him out. We'll see if there can be a roam here now. Dive, he was just whacking on a ward though.
Super long. Didn't feel safe. There's the Scrying Orb nicely coming out. The Scrying Orb's kind of like, yeah, we don't have wards there, but we still see you. So CLG is forced off of that. Beautiful job picking up the Dragon, and it looks like Zion could actually keep himself alive up here.
Yeah, he's going to go on a long marathon here into the opposite side of the map.
Oh! Link doesn't have any charges. Wow, very nicely played. And he gets the turret teleport, so he'll have it up a little bit sooner. So Dig on the other side of the map, drawing pressure top. They're going to trade on this one, so CLG doesn't lose too much out of the chaos created there by Zion Spartan. And they go 1-for-1 on turrets there. But still, 3-1 in turrets overall. 3-2 now.
Right, so they were able to get that Dragon. And so what Zion did, he ran away from his own minion line because Yasuo can just chase you forever through your own minion line. Also, it denied him anything else to charge up his Qs on. After that one that he had ran out, then Zion was free to teleport. Very smart play from him, able to get out of the situation alive, and Dignitas able to get right back into this one. 800 gold lead for them.
Doublelift with Doublelift cash on him. He's waiting to build that Infinity Edge up once again before he really gets himself into the fights. 10-0-4, close to it last game if I can recall correctly. So he is not participating in pretty much anything right now, so he can do that again when the time comes. CLG loving to leave a lot of the control in the game up to him, and Dexter and the rest of the lanes have done a good job. You know, Dig said they focus that bottom lane for CLG, but Link and Seraph have been keeping themselves safe and definitely on par through these matches.
All right, Seraph was able to just complete his rod as well, so we'll look for the 26-minute mark to fully stack that. Never mind, it just ticked once.
Yep.
24. He's got everything that he needs to start scaling up into the late game.
Damage there.
Let's see how CLG closed the clamps here. Link opting to be the preferred split pusher against Mundo now because Zion rests the Spirit Visage, so magic resistance going to render Seraph ineffective. However, Link does not care.
Nope.
And Yasuo very strong in the 1v1, as long as he's got vision in this blue side to make sure that Crumbzz doesn't collapse on him.
There's only a few of those forward wards on. Dexter was back and forth between that Wraith Wall path and trying to get a new Ice Blast in, but the team holds back for now. Pretty much a 1-3-1 in defense and kind of split pushing in their favor.
And CLG funneling some more money into Seraph, give him the long lane. Several minion waves there for Seraph to clean up. And that's all that he wants to be doing right now. He doesn't want to actually be participating in these skirmishes. As we said, he's got the 2 items that take a long time to scale up. Waiting for those to build up while he happily last hits minions on the side. Question for CLG is, do they stop Dignitas from taking anything in the meantime?
Right.
Trying to distract them, and strong wave clear here from the duo lane.
Pretty intense initiations from both teams when it comes down to it. If you look what's going to happen in a full fight, you got a pretty walk-in from Counter Logic Gaming unless they flash in, and then you're going to be stunning people on the outside here from Dignitas, so you got to follow that up. It's going to be very risky for these guys to fight. Both teams.
A lot of the CLG play is going to revolve around Seraph locking up Crumbzz with his Rune Prison when Crumbzz jumps in. That's going to be crucial. If you take away Kha'Zix's mobility, he's very easy to kill now after the nerfs to his ultimate. Locking him down will be essential, but having a Syndra on the other team does make that difficult.
Yeah.
Long-range stuns that go through everyone.
Just like
Seraph will have to position himself very well.
CLG up 1 game already, slowly riding that wave of momentum. Same kind of start that they had to the previous matchup, but they haven't controlled as much. Been all right to give up a few of the dragons here. Another one in 2 minutes, just about. Ooh. Nicely sped up, gets himself all the way out of danger. Crumbzz and KiWiKiD trying to give Dexter a little, or rather Aphromoo a little what for on that. Still 1 kill in this game. Definitely a lot slower than our previous matchup. Both teams are getting a lot more ward coverage down, and that's why they're keeping themselves alive. Dignitas way better with a lot more wards. You can see Dexter and them, they have every idea that they're on the blue side because the red side is completely warded and nobody's there.
And neither team really feels a time crunch in this game because CLG, they have Rise and Yasuo to rely on. Lucian does not fall off, you know, terribly hard late game either. And Dignitas, they've got the Mundo and Tristana, the strongest scaling tank in the game, with arguably the strongest scaling AD carry in the game as well. So they don't feel the rush either.
That's true. QtPie hasn't really been hit, and he does have a kill under his belt. Looking for a static Shiv to help with a bit of the wave clear. Shiphtur is the only one really on that duty right now, along with some Crumbzz spikes if you can get him out. But good control from both teams. 40 seconds is obviously going to leave them up to just setting wards. You can see CLG's got a pretty good line of scrimmage to that side. He'll be waiting with Seraph on blue buff now, so they're going to give him that to charge everything up that he can and keep that blue buff, or keep that tier going.
Yeah, I think they will, CLG will start to make aggressive moves once they do have the stacked up rod. Uh-oh, Link here though, gets collapsed on. Holes in the vision coverage.
Uh-oh. Bad news bears, can he dash out? Great exhaust, can he get to the white? No, he cannot. A very cheeky play if he was able to do it.
CLG trying to rush that mid in response, but immediate collapse there from Dignitas. Dragon spawns at the perfect time for CLG. Can they rush this one down? Dig make the call to answer Baron.
Oh, they don't have QtPie though. This is gonna actually take quite a bit of time. Crumbzz, he's on the Brutalizer and the Lizard, so they're gonna get good damage out of it.
Oh, he's gonna leave it.
It's gonna be tough. Dexter gets it. It's gonna be defense here. A good Buster Shot can keep the jungler away for long enough that that smite doesn't come in. You're also facing that Consume smite, and here comes CLG.
Baron does a way more damage than Dragon at this point. Dignitas cannot do it.
Oh. Fog of War was the danger CLG was walking into, but they can breathe a sigh of relief as they see Dignitas re-enter the mid lane to clear some waves. Very tense moment, but you can see Dig is ready to make those calls. Dexter shaking off the hands there on the camera.
You can see how close these trades are. CLG barely able to eke out a Dragon traded for that kill on Link, and the commitment of the 3 champions top 5 Dignitas. Very, very close call right there, but it does get them some extra global gold, and it gets Seraph even closer. He has completed his embrace now. We'll see 2 more minutes. No, 6 more minutes.
All right. So around 28, he'll have full charge. Right now, still being quite a menace in any lane he's in. Looks like they're going to focus a bit towards mid. They want to open up the map like a Christmas present here and see what's on the other side safely. Dignitas. Shiphtur keeping it locked down in middle. Slow movement. It looks like actually towards the bottom lane, everybody's going to be going. 101 to 61 was something I was just looking at. Dignitas is definitely spreading themselves out more. One person covering her lane and not. And then we see Dexter. He's been roaming with the CLG squad. Back to that strategy for themselves. See if that works out in the end for Crumbzz to be so much more fed. Doesn't have the HP yet, but does have the kill potential.
Yeah, very interesting to see what CLG will opt for when they decide to try and force fights, because it has to be... a flash Nunu slow.
Oh, the disengage from just 2 members to 4. Another flash in. Shiphtur's going to be the one caught, but he breaks the crowd control right away. This could be Crumbzz going down. He throws down. He flashes out. Another ultimate used. So much chaos going in, but nobody wants to give up. They are able to get down Nunu. Dexter comes back up off the chrono shift, and my lord, perseverance pays off.
CLG used so much in that chase because they don't have the hard engage. They have to burn all these flashes, and they take damage the entire time they're chasing Dignitas. So even though they get the revive onto Dexter, they have to abandon him to defend these turrets, and they leave him to die anyway. So turret damage goes down, kill goes down for Dignitas. Huge swing here for Dig, and the momentum definitely in their favor.
Absolutely. Such a great job there, taking control of the fact that they had leads and putting the right people with leads in the right spot. see that replay one more time. They want it so much. They completely went too far for these kills.
So their speed boost already has been used here on Seraph, and they have to use both flashes from Nunu and Seraph. He also has Blood Boil for the extra speed to try and catch this up.
Right.
But look at the reaction here. They're all trying to deal with this dig push on the bottom lane.
Right.
Doublelift is shoved all the way out of that turret defense, and it leaves this Dignitas squad in the mid lane to re-collapse on Dexter, not let him escape after being revived.
Yep. There we go, textbook CLG. Dig backs, they have to grab mid, and they do so. So keeping themselves on par with that. But 2K gold down here. Dig has the lead in game 2.
Yeah, we saw the problem here for CLG is that they have to be speed boosted on these characters to try and run at Dignitas if they want to force somebody and catch someone in a rotation. But they're not able to do that because Syndra, beautiful stun by Shiphtur, by the way, ran through all 4 people who are chasing him. Very good at throwing out the stuns and running away. Now the move mid.
An amazing just rush towards middle. The teleport in as well. An uncontested inhibitor turret coming in for Dignitas here. They're going to be able to stay on this. They probably have Dragon Timer, so they'll say, we'll toy around. Whoa! The self-initiation, last breath from Link. He goes in deep. KiWiKiD throws down the box, and everybody's gotten out of that now. Dexter throws down an absolute zero that acts just for pretty much zoning. Nobody was in it, and the back and forth continues.
Spartan, though, pops his ult. He goes back in for the re-engage.
Very close. A few more hits onto Dexter here. He has nothing to consume. No health to get back, and Zion Spartan also cannot follow any further into the base. The inhibitor will go down. Gotta watch out. Shiphtur was like, don't stand near me. That's not right. Good thing he does not have too much AP just yet.
Dignitas with a massive, massive positional outplay of CLG here. Beautiful call to pull in the teleport to support the wave shove that they had gotten all the way to inhibitor turret. Really, really great jump onto the middle from Dignitas. Taking that opening. CLG, this sort of fiasco bottom where their bottom turret was shoved and their middle that they decided to chase really ended up costing them a lot of time in this game. Great reaction there from Dig.
Really being the ones this game to make things happen, not waiting for CLG to get the wards down and find them. You can see Link on that split push, continuously trying to put pressure onto Zion Spartan. Looks like we got a little bit of a pickle here, and KiWiKiD and Crumbzz are going to be able to gather with the rest of the team.
They've only got 1 flash left. CLG keep using these flashes to try and force fights. The last one being Link's. The Aphromoo just has to use his defensively. They don't have any more of those options here. Seraphs will be the next coming up. They've got to wait on that. Otherwise, it's just people sped up by Zillion running at this Dig front line. And this front line here, Zion Spartan, is increasingly getting out of control.
No, he's going to have to hit a lot of crits if he wants to come out on top of this one. Does good damage from both sides, however. They're not going to get too much pressure. Crumbzz may make a full ride down here, but he's got a red buff to tango with before he has that idea. Imaqtpie as well hovering down. They're going to be walking through a lot of wards here, so they got to be careful how much time they waste.
All right, well, if now that CLG are on the back foot, maybe they'll be able to pull off a play where they force Dignitas to come to them, because that's really where they'll have the best chance here. When Dignitas are trying to force their way through Nunu, and the burden of initiation is not on CLG's side. Dragon, though, just picked up by Dig, and not a lot to draw them into any forced movements here.
Whoa, this is pretty forced. It looks like they want to have everything about this. Still got Zillion on the outside. Aphromoo pretty far away, but they're not going to get there in time. Dexter's going to be pretty hurt after this.
Scrying Orb's down for Dignitas.
A few more consumes will keep him around half HP if he can get up to it. They're going to go in. He does not get it with the consume smite coming in from Dexter. He tries to get pulled to safety, but Crumbzz goes down. A very unfortunate event, and what CLG needed to really put their foot back in that door.
What a bold call from CLG. And as we said earlier, if you let a small amount of time versus a Nunu team go by without vision around Baron,
that's all it takes.
Then they can make you pay for it. That was a miraculous play for CLG.
So even down 3-0, CLG feels like it's just another game. They're able to make moves and plays that could pretty much cost them the game here 28 minutes in, but they are very confident about what they're doing. 2,000 gold behind and 3 turrets down. They're keeping up their map vision very well to keep Dignitas from really getting to any more inhibitor turrets. very risky as well to have that down and still go for the Baron. They were able to keep good wave control to make that happen.
Problem for CLG is that Dignitas still have the gold advantage, and this Tristana Mundo scaling becoming increasingly untenable for them.
That Thornmail is going to be playing a big effect as well. Zion Spartan's going to throw himself right into the fight. Link can't be hitting any of that. Pretty much take himself down. Doublelift close to his previous build where he was putting out big damage, but already you can see the Bloodthirster is going to come out for KiWiKiD for more flat damage, so the Sting is ready.
Seraph has his flash available, Dexter as well. But again, so hard for them to lock down a target. Seraph, by the way, does not have armor yet, hasn't been able to build something like a Frozen Heart. So if Seraph is their go-to initiate with the Zillion speed and flash, then he's going to have to watch out for the cannonballs to the face from QTPie. Because even Seraph here on Rise, not quite yet scaled up in the tanky aspects. Dignitas opting to trade turrets here instead. While the Baron buff is up on CLG, they're looking to trade objectives instead of fight this team.
I think this completely works. After they pressure this top side, they're going to be able to go to mid inhibitor whether they want to or not here. Very nicely done. Going to be a good hold here from Shiphtur in the mid lane along with Zion Spartan. Let's see where Dig can go with this just against Link.
Question is, do they continue with this shove and the trade? Teleport goes down, they want to stop it.
Ooh, nicely done on the wall. Link pretty much preventing a good amount of turret damage, and he flashes, gets it onto Crumbzz. That's going to be a 1-2. Thank you very much. And they're going to keep the pursuit on a bit? No, they let the vision go.
They expended the two most important flashes there for that, though. Seraph also followed up with his own flash.
That's
so that was all
of the really good point, Cole.
All of the gap closer there for CLG for 1 kill. Maybe 2 here. QTPie is going to have to get away from Dexter as well.
He gets hit over the wall. He could actually make it out of this one alive. He realizes that there's more coming around. They're going to be able to come up with some kills here. A great flash over the wall, but Doublelift wants it. He goes crazy and he starts throwing down the DPS. Knocked back. What a hit coming out of Shiphtur. I believe he got kept by the Chrono Shifter. Fast fingers by Aphromoo keeps him alive. Beautiful play coming in from CLG.
Crumbzz just revived, so it's a one-man advantage here for CLG. What can they do? Link gets done.
Oh, that's the wall. He says thank you very much. They do pick up that Thresh Flay, but will they pick up the kill? Link is just having a field day, dashing in and out of anybody who can without the passive on him just yet. It's going to be the Ignite, and he finally goes down. This leaves CLG to scramble down and figure out what they can pick up out of that chaos.
They
one
did
down on each side.
Get a turret for it. Yeah. In all that scramble, CLG were able to come up with one more global objective. Turret down bottom for them. There's only one left standing outside of the inhibitor ring.
Wow, CLG sticking to their guns on that strat. They did send the 2 back, and we still have to remember that Seraph and Link's flashes are down, but that didn't stop Link just now from going face first into a fight where the team was going to get something out of it. Something for everything that they want right now is the way CLG's playing. They're not afraid to lose one to get a lot. Good job.
Also saw how much damage Shiphtur can do. 100% double
true.
lift there. He's got the trinity of AP items for the AP mid mages. Extremely strong power spike for Sintra there.
All right, Kobe, back to the inhibitors. Let's see what we got. 33
Flanking
minutes
from
in.
Dexter. This is the thing that CLG need if they want to force something.
This is going to be big. Shiphtur's right there. They just saw him. Crumbzz is going to be have to... He's good. He's good. He gets with the team. Look at that AoE damage coming from Rise. Seraph comes in, almost takes down the entire team by himself there. Crumbzz maybe going down, but the Thresh Express monthly pass. Don't bring the bomb.
This team is so fast, though. They've got Blood Boil. They have constant Zillion speed up spam on Doublelift. And he gets
the piercing light from downtown on that one. He relentless pursued it in range of a minion. Some mechanics right there for you. Watch it again. 4-4, and they are going to be going on the inhibitor turrets. They have the pedal to the metal right now, and they're going to try to choke out Dignitas here on this push.
Rushing down, they're going to answer at least the inhibitor turrets.
Absolutely.
Going for the inhibitor itself. 25 seconds on Crumbzz. They should be able to get this.
Look how big this wave is in the top as well. They have 1:30 on Baron, so they can mess around in the top side for a little bit if they want to, and it looks like eyes are on it.
Interesting choice here. Dragon just came up, but they do have that big wave top. 14 more seconds on Crumbzz. Maybe they should have gone for the Dragon. It looks like Dignitas trying to stall here, but it's not going to be in time. CLG get it.
Wow.
Good call.
Picked up so much, took themselves a 3,000 gold lead. The turrets are now tied practically instantly after quite a bit of time. CLG
now,
makes it out.
If they also try
time.
for Dragon, yeah, here he goes. Great shot there, right through the ranged minion. If they also go for this Dragon, oh, they have 58 seconds. I guess the timing does work out pretty much perfectly for CLG. Man, this is a matter of seconds for them, but they clean up huge. What an answer from them. Inhibitors even now at the mid lane, and a bunch of gold swings back into the favor of CLG. Dig with positional advantage on Baron, but they haven't been able to sweep it out. They have got 2 pink wards in inventory ready to use. C1. Now they've got the vision control. Can they make a pick? Syndra is amazing at Fog of War picks.
This is the kind of
KiWiKiD
coverage.
can easily follow it up.
This is what we were seeing from CLG last time. This
They
would
are
be
so
Dignitas
deep.
walking into this area. Oh man, almost the hook to come in there. Doublelift would have had to get an E out of that one. Seraph could definitely take some damage. We talked about the Frozen Heart not being there. He still does not have armor. Coming in for that Tristana could be quite detrimental when they start the fight if he is a focus. Baron is just alive.
Oh, they stopped Zion's back. Link will get a turret here. This means Dignitas have to force something. They have to either force Baron or they have to teleport somebody back.
Yeah, he's got the siege minion there. They're going to actually get the teleport as well. Here comes Mundo. That turret is completely warmed up. It's going to heal a little bit, but they'll be able to take that down if it comes into play. Doublelift gets the full ultimate from Shiphtur. That's not something they have to worry about now.
Aphromoo did not have to blow Chrono Shift either. Only chunks him down to half life. Again, CLG with position on bottom. They have to bring Zion Spartan down there to defend it.
CLG seeing if they can pull Dig up. Obviously they will, but Dignitas actually wants to catch them on the roundabout. They think Dig's going to be coming up for Baron. Doesn't work. Everybody's got the wards necessary on the top side, but look at Dig trying to place down all these pinks to make sure that next fight is completely theirs. They're down 4,000 gold, the threshold of items. A third one just completed over onto Link. Not really matching the power of Shiphtur just yet, but you're looking at 80 to 80. So it depends on who they're attacking.
Yeah, there's not a lot of armor for CLG either.
No.
On anyone here. So it might even be another 4th item, offensive item there for KiWiKiD. Doesn't have to be Last Whisper.
They want these fights to work, Kobe. Link has the red elixir. He's trying to put out more damage if he can. There's going to be a focus. A little too close. Absolute Zero gets canceled out immediately. Seraph's going to be the focus, and Doublelift has eyes on the prize. KiWiKiD in the back line gets face of the mountain. He'll stay alive. Doublelift gets the Chrono Shift. He'll be back up, but they'll kill Aphromoo before the time even happens. Turning back the clock on that one. A shutdown coming in for Crumbzz. Dignitas sweeping Dig and leaving Link alive.
That mistake is definitely going to cost them Baron here, if not a rush to end the game. No, it will be Baron call for Dig. Should be a pretty easy steal for them. I don't know how Link would be able to steal this. Q over the wall will run out. Won't have the time for it.
It's got to be a Janet tornado. We always know that.
Now the push mid, though.
Coming up big with the rest of the team. A little too much that CLG wanted to grab, and it kind of bites him back.
Yeah, and it should be enough time to get an inhibitor as well for them. Extra 20 seconds on Doublelift. Baron buff regeneration going to do its part. Dignitas strike back, and can they get back in time to defend their inhibitor to the minions? Minions slowly taking it away.
Oh, he still gets it.
KiWiKiD's there for you. Teleport in though. Looks like Seraph's trying to cut them off.
Who's he going to be going? It's got, oh, he hits KiWiKiD. KiWiKiD goes for the jump. The gap poser kind of nullifies the crowd control, and they're able to get the safety. Oh, hits him back. Zion Spartan says, follow me, come this way. You don't want to get anything right now. So we'll see what kind of ring around the rosy game he can pose here to CLG. The rest of the team is going to start moving. Pushing waves. One
KiWiKiD,
after
the savior.
The other.
Put your faith in me, KiWiKiD says. Zion Spartan, once again, saved by another dark passage.
Beautiful job being in the right spot at the right time. Let's see this chase.
Yeah, let's see the chase one more time. They wrap around.
This is going to be the fight from before.
CLG split their forces here into two-man squads, whereas Dignitas are still 4 strong because they're running away. So CLG, in their attempt to cut off Dignitas, actually weakened both fronts here. And Dignitas with a great turnaround, bursting down Dexter, immediately eliminating the main damage soak for CLG. Opened up Doublelift to be on the front lines there. And once Doublelift is in the middle of all of Dig, has to retreat rather than deal damage.
Let's see. Looking at KiWiKiD's build, he actually throws in the Last Whisper a little earlier this time, but he's pretty much to the items right now, not still facing hardly any armor on the other side.
Seraph going very offensive build here. Looks like he's looking up for a Void Staff to try and cut through magic resistance for his next item here.
A lot of Banshee's Veils, or at least the ones they've been able to build so far to stop Shiphtur from canceling anybody out. So far, Shiphtur's ults have really been with the team, like objective winners. We saw him hit kind of Doublelift the last time, and then CLG, and they were a little prepped for the next fight. He hasn't been trying to just kill people. He usually throws it out with 1 or 2 orbs, and then the team can move up. Not a killing amount of orbs. So, getting vision with all of them, though. See the push. 20 seconds on to Dragon. CLG now to answer their own front door. Beautiful scrying orb catches the entire team. That was great.
There's not too many places CLG could be.
Nobody's flanking. They know nobody's flanking, though.
They found him, though, inside the base. This is actually CLG's best chance at winning team fights, is when Dignitas are trying to run in through a turret, through a funneled area where Dexter can pull off his ultimate, and it's actually Dig who are the ones trying to move forward. See if they can actually manage it, though. This Zion Spartan tank is getting ridiculous.
Waiting for that minion wave. They pinged it quite a bit ago, and finally approaching the turret. What's the walk-in going to be? I'm very interested.
It's so much easier for KiWiKiD and Dig to take pot shots here at the turret and at CLG with skill shots, because Dig has so many more threatening skill shots for CLG to worry about. Syndra stuns, poke from Crumbzz, KiWiKiD hooks.
Oh, that range. Oh, that damage. Oh, that damage. KiWiKiD coming up big. Dexter's going to have to go back to base, probably put some home guards on those feet, and it looks like they grab another inhibitor turret. Dignitas not so much phased by game 1. Come out strong in game 2, but we still have a ways to go. CLG's base getting ripped up a little bit, so Dig wants to solidify this one now.
I don't think Dig want to leave the base here. They've got fully scaled Mundo and Trist, and the hook lands.
Oh, that hits. Seraph in the middle. Remember, Link has to execute his own ultimates. He tries to do so. He gets back to KiWiKiD, but he's shot away immediately. The fast fingers of the Buster Shot keep KiWiKiD alive. KiWiKiD, everybody get away from him. Oh no. Oh, that's so close.
CLG is everything on the chase.
Here it goes. Zion Spartan back in. He's got a super minion side by side. He's running hips with, and they're going to go ahead and take down Dexter. Don't follow him too far, gentlemen. You got a base to destroy here. There's going to be a ring around the rosy right now. Let's get some Benny Hill on this. They finally take down Dexter. 50 seconds on the death clocks here coming in for CLG, but a lot of that runaround pretty much saved most of their base. It still does not look too good.
Not for long, it didn't. Dignitas looking to take out that inhibitor, and even this game up 2-2, they have a huge wave pop. 3 inhibitors would be a breaking point for CLG.
Good calling. Oh, there's the scout of the week. Almost gets hit up. Doublelift took a cleaver, but he was able to get out alive. Zion Spartan, the rest of the team putting the final touches on game 2 here at the LCS Summer Playoffs. And it looks like they're going to be on the Nexus turrets. They have a bit of a wave, and then waves coming in on each side, Kobe. This shouldn't be too much longer.
Nexus turret number 1 down. Crumbzz, half health, quarter mana.
So Dignitas stray from the split push strategy as they put out in game 1. Looks like it was much more towards the vision game this time, once again, as they had played in the past. KiWiKiD doing a lot for the team and just holding it strong this time. They were able to not get totally taken out by Doublelift, even though the CS is still there.
That fight was so close to going CLG's favor. KiWiKiD saved by face of the mountain. Almost dead. And Link goes in to try and finish him off even afterwards.
That's like half swing. Oof. Half swing on the sword and gets cut down.
So close. But because he lived, Dignitas take everything from CLG. The entire base, everything on the map. Dragon cleaned up as well. So it should be theirs to walk in now.
Very well played so far by Dig to come out in game 2 strong. Switching up the strategy as we said before. Still showing that they can do that. CLG now thinking about what could be the possibilities for next game. It's a fresh start. We go to the best of 3 here if Dig takes this. And it's going to be something new that these teams have to show, or they're just going to have to run the same strat, just even better to get that W. KiWiKiD cleaning up red buff. Whoever gets hit by this is pretty much done for. That's the point of the game we're in right now.
Yeah, they can actually use this time to even think about what worked really well this game and what can they use.
That's true.
Moving forward.
Keep your mind in the game, but always thinking forward is never going to hurt. Like we said, a lot of pro players kind of say first few games of a best-of-5 series aren't things you want to lose, but that's the time you can catch your opponent off guard with plays, with the picks they were not expecting. Right now, pretty average teams coming in on these, and the fight will begin. Doublelift goes to the front line, and he's trying to keep himself safe, doing good damage. Syndra taking down Aphromoo, rather that was Shiphtur, and they are just focusing down on the DPS. Beautifully taken down. Yasuo to Lucian to Nunu, and then Rise. Executed accordingly. Dignitas are taking game 2 at 44 minutes.
Yeah, congratulations to Dignitas striking back, evening up this series 1-1.
Fantastically played game. Everybody across the board holding their own. 0-0 and 10 for KiWiKiD as well, so playing accordingly there. And the big fight in the top lane. CLG fell a little too in control. Dexter to flash over the wall. Doublelift to get in as well over the wall. It was just a little too much that they wanted there. Bit him back in the butt real quick. Dig aced the game to win this one now, and this definitely leaves CLG to think of what to do next game. It can't be a normal comp that Dig has played against before. These guys kind of got to mix things up and really get their picks. I think in coordination with what Zaqueri was saying is Dig has to look at the picks all throughout Champion Select. They can't just see Maokai and then say, all right, we can do the split push Nasus. They considered everything as it went down the board, and it really played out this game.
Yeah, they couldn't handle, Mundo and Triss, as we said, the best scaling tank and the best scaling AD carry. Getting to that mid game, it was a very exciting mid game, back and forth.
Yeah.
Baron plays for both teams, but towards the real end there, Nunu does fall off pretty hard, and hard for CLG to make that comeback. Even though, as we saw in the last team fight, they were so close to burning down KiWiKiD, burning him.
Both teams had amazing focus throughout these fights, and I kind of had to like stutter stop and step to see, did that really happen? Is he still alive? Is he getting chrono shifted? It made for amazing fights, and we only have more to go. Don't forget to share your favorite moments from our games today. Tweet us at LOL Esports, and today we're using the hashtag LOLBigPlays. So now we're going to go ahead on more in Dig Series tying win there. Let's send it over to Dash and the guys at the analyst desk.
Thanks, Riv. A very exciting game to even up the series. I can tell you I'm happy to see it go back and forth like that. One of the first things I noticed about that game, though, was the fact that Dig went and took those late game scaling Mundo and the Triss this time, and they actually came out on top with the late game scaling.
Well, I also think a big thing, too, is that they picked a more aggressive jungler. They picked a jungler that can fight you. We also saw Dexter trying to invade at one point, and he got pushed back by the Kha'Zix very early, so Crumbzz, good pick by him there. And also, they first picked the Syndra for for Shiphtur in the mid lane, and they gave him something that would bully Link, and he would be able to create that pressure that they wanted to put all around the map. And they lane swapped it. So everything we basically touched on that we said Dignitas should do, they basically did.
Now, to that end, we saw the lane swap come through Pobelter, and they actually managed to keep Seraph down quite a bit. We saw he was level 2 with a Zillion on his team like 5-6 minutes into the game. It was pretty impressive. However, that it got out of their hands through the mid game. How did that happen? How did Seraph catch back up?
Seraph just pretty much sat top, farming for like 5 minutes while Mundo was trying to make plays around Dragon on bottom. And really the only thing they were able to do was get a kill out of it with what Mundo was doing on Dignitas' side. So I think it would have been better if they pulled Syndra up top and then tried to like 3-man dive Rise to keep him down even further. And then it would have been a much easier win for Dignitas, because we did see CLG, start to claw back, and then for a while they did have a lead until they, threw it.
Yeah, they looked pretty strong. You mentioned that first blood by Dignitas where they actually TP'd Mundo down at level 7 already, and CLG literally just had no response to that because of the level disadvantage from Seraph in the top lane. He just chose not to teleport. So that was a pretty big swing there in terms of evening things up for Dignitas and keeping themselves in the game with that late game scaling competition. But why though did they lose out in that mid game against CLG?
I think it was going really even in the mid game there, and then there was that sneaky Baron by CLG that caught them up and actually gave them a little bit of gold lead and temporary combat stats. And then it was just even back and forth. I really fully believe that because they traded inhibitors mid lane, and the kills were just even. And then there were just a couple throws, like you said, by CLG that really made the difference.
All right, well, let's look at one of those throws. Let's go to the top lane, 36 minutes in, where we see CLG get over-aggressive. Pobelter, if you don't mind walking us through this replay.
So right here, CLG is around Baron. Dignitas just tried to get some vision in, and CLG is trying to engage on them and catch them out. Rise accidentally... Okay, well, we see Nunu flash, and then he just dies. And then they're just so overextended. Half the team wants to rush in, and the other half is just trying to wait it out. And so this kind of like disconnect between the team, they just end up getting caught out, and then the half of the team that was in the back now is trying to come up and salvage the team fight, and then they just die as well. So it ends up being a 4-for-0, and then Dignitas gets Baron, and then they get the inhibitor. So it's just a huge swing.
Yeah, they NASCAR'd Seraph, and he did a victory lap first. He went up and then went around, and we saw Nunu flash the wall. Dexter was trying to close that distance as quickly as possible, and then Doublelift was still lagged behind. So they kind of trickled in with Dexter first, and then they just gave the opportunity to Dignitas to focus their full attention on one person at a time, and that's exactly what that composition wants, which is Stomp.
Seraph ended up having to even flash into that fight with all that move speed because, like you said, he kind of took that detour somewhere along the way. So interestingly enough, though, you had this like hyper aggression, right? It turns on them. Now they're down, but they still want to use this chase potential. We saw them trade inhibs in the mid lane and things like that. When you have this chase-based comp, though, and now you're the ones who have to turtle in, how do you play that scenario out, Pobelter?
Well, the problem is that CLG's engage is really poor. Really, all they have is the Zillion speed up on Rise into someone, unless they catch someone out with Yasuo. But Yasuo was always split from the rest of the team because CLG had no knockups. I guess they decided to just let him split. But he wasn't really able to do much with Mundo. And so even though CLG had the superior late game team comp with 2 hyper carries in Rise and Yasuo with the Zillion backup, because Yasuo was always split off with Mundo, the 4v4 was actually quite even.
And I want to talk about something a little bit more micro. We're going to switch gears because during the game we were talking from a mid laner's perspective. Why would you take Ignite on Yasuo? So Pobelter, I know you had some thoughts on what summoner spells are best on Yasuo, if you don't mind touching on that.
Recently, a lot of mid laners, including me, have been favoring taking Exhaust in most matchups. I think it's especially good versus Syndra, someone with a big burst that can be exhausted, because on Yasuo, if you can exhaust that burst and live just a few extra seconds, that damage output that you get from those extra survival time is a lot more to just trump the Ignite damage.
Yeah, they also had no exhaust for Tristana in the late game, which is another thing you have to think about.
Well, so it seemed like they took both Ignite on Aphromoo and on Link as an attempt to keep the Mundo down, right? It gave them the option to maybe focus him early in a team fight with the Lucian burst along with the Yasuo burst, but we didn't even see that come to fruition because, as you mentioned, Pobelter, Yasuo was off split pushing against him, but it never really, they didn't achieve anything. We saw multiple times Dig ended up just out-rotating them to the mid lane, and we saw that amazing, like the teleport in, and they just kind of out-rotated the split push that CLG was trying to set up.
Yeah, but I do think that CLG and Dignitas both did a really good job of trading objectives with each other. Like, they were immediately punished in the mid lane when Doublelift got the speed ups and the piercing light across the minions to pick up Crumbzz, and then they got a turret and an inhibitor for themselves. But that was happening all game. You get bot turret, we'll go get your top tier 2. And they kept doing that back and forth. So these teams were on very even footing for a lot of the game. And then it was just the late game scaling and a couple misplays that cost CLG.
Well, let's look at one other fight. We're going to jump about 41 minutes into the game. It's the second to last team fight, but kind of the big one that Dignitas uses to break open the entire base. Zyrene, I'm going to let you take this one.
All right, so a big thing here is Doublelift. He has a big CS advantage over KiWiKiD, but it's late enough in the game that Tristana is very relevant and actually more powerful than Lucian here. So they decide to try and spike her down. We'll start rolling the clip out here and watch Link's focus onto KiWiKiD and Doublelift's focus too. They tunnel in on him, and they start chunking him down. He gets very, very low. He gets out, face the mountain. Link comes in, he tries to dive in, flashes, doesn't get it, but he still has Ignite up. That's the big thing there, is they didn't end up killing KiWiKiD, and the Ignite was up. They overextend, they chase out, and then they just get turned around on at this point. And it just trickles in on top of them. The super minions are there, and they're able to clean up. But I think the big part of this fight was that they overextended and didn't know that CLG, they had to back off after they didn't kill KiWiKiD. If they had killed KiWiKiD, they could have continued to just go through them because Thresh was also very low, but that having that backline threat that you can no longer reach because you don't have your flashes available is not going to work out.
Yeah, definitely an unfortunate non-use there of the Ignite because that could have turned the entire fight. One final question back to you, Pobelter, as a player. We've seen both teams now. Dignitas has gone for that late game scaling comp twice in a row. Worked once Didn't work the first time, worked the second time. CLG, bully lanes both times, barring the rise. Bully lanes both times. Worked the first time, didn't work the second time. So do these teams just kind of stick to their guns and flip a coin now every match? Or is it time to make some adjustments and really maybe throw a curveball at somebody?
I don't think we'll be seeing really a big strategy change from either team until the next game. So after one team has a 1-game lead, I think that actually Dignitas had the worst scaling team comp into the late game. It's just that CLG played it incorrectly. So I do think there was a difference between the first and second game.
All right. Well, we're going to have to take a quick break while we get vision for our third game in this exciting showdown between CLG and Dignitas. We'll be right back after this.
Is just having a field day, dashing in and out of anybody who can without the passive items just yet. It's going to be the Ignite.
We can fight.
Protect
Seraph right now? Hey, get double.
Yeah, double. What do you have?
I'm starting double.
Can we go in the game?
Yeah.
Double.
There we go.
He's doing good damage. Syndra taking down Aphromoo. Rather, that was Shiphtur, and they are just focusing down on the DPS.